Meeting for Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 on the agenda. Item 2 on the agenda, roll call.
Present.
Councilmember Jensen, absent. Mayor Rosenthal.
Present.
Councilmember Maroney.
Present.
Councilmember Scott, absent.
Thank you, Administrator Bonsack. Moving on to item 4 on the agenda. Screen city administrator candidate applications and select candidates for interviews. I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Mike Brethhorst. I've been hired on as your senior consultant to support with the selection process and outreach for your next administrator. So my goal throughout this process is the process that we followed, let me start out that way. The process that we followed was to do a very in-depth stakeholder engagement session and trying to understand what the areas that they would like to see in regards to qualities for this next person. We also heard and learned about upcoming projects and initiatives in which the city is either currently planning or underway. And so we tried to find individuals that had certain expertise in those certain areas, as well as maybe an opportunity to grow into those areas. And so with that, we had a very strong turnout for this position, which was very nice to see, with different qualities and different skill sets between them. I like to use the analogy of, we want to present to the council opportunities. Do you want a rectangle? Do you want a square? Do you want an oval? What are you looking for? And that's what all of these different candidates are. Not one of them is alike when you look at the overall package of candidates here. When we presented the names here in front of you, we're presenting to you 12 names today for potential consideration. And I've broken them up into Tier 1 and a Tier 2. Tier 1, the way I define that, is somebody who has either been in the role, performing the job, having sound recommendations and reference checks, as well as proven that they have been successful in that role. As well as candidates that might be in a position to grow professionally and have that opportunity to represent at that next level. And I have screened every single one of these people. I've done one-on-one interviews with them. We've had individuals who have done reference checks, as well as done social media and background checks on these individuals. And then the next tier that we have are Tier 2 candidates. They can do the job. We assess that they can do the job. The only concern with some of those, they might not have all of the things that you're looking for, or there might be something in their background that should be, at least the council should be aware of before they make a decision that they would want to move forward with that particular candidate. And so that's because sometimes people just need a second chance, and maybe they left on different grounds, and so it's another opportunity. But those are the candidates that sometimes will be in Tier 2. So are there any questions in regards to how we went about this and what type of process that we followed for this process? I mean, I probably made, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you how many phone calls I made in regards to outreach for opportunities and really give the great sales pitch for Breezy Point. And it was an easy sell. It really was. And I'm not just saying that either. So with Deb's help and Jerry's help and the team's help here to come together and put together this package, I think it turned out well. So.
Council, do you have any questions?
I do not at this time.
No, I think we were comfortable with the process, and thank you for explaining to us to understand the breakdowns.
Now, to look at the list itself, I do want to have one amendment to the list. Number 8, I am recommending I'm going to take him off the list here for you. We were not able to connect. I've reached out to the individual multiple times, and it just didn't work for him to connect. So number 8 is now removed off the list. And I cannot, with a good conscience, make a recommendation to the council without having a face-to-face with him. So Okay, there's a couple different ways I can go about doing this. Is option number one is I can just go through the qualities and expectations that I came across for the tier 1 candidates, and then I can break down into the tier 2 candidates and work that way. Or if you just have an idea in regards to which ones you like, right, just based on this, we can, based on what you read, we can do that as well.
What's the council's pleasure? Are you comfortable with just going ahead and giving out, or would you prefer to have Mike be able to talk about some of the things that he saw? Or do we have him bring those up if we get into a discussion about one that we decide we are on the board, you know, we may have, not all the council members may agree on that one to be included in the bunch.
I kind of like that second option is, you know, let's lay out what we see at a face value on paper wise.
Yep.
See if, because maybe we are all aligned, maybe we're different,
Right.
and then we can break down into what we may have seen otherwise.
You like that, Rebecca? Are you good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I think let's go ahead. I mean, let's just walk through, I think, what we have, the numbers that we selected in the order that we selected them. So like, what's your number one? You know, what's your number two? What's your number three? Because that's how I did mine.
Yep.
So I went through each of the candidates, I looked at them, and then I went back through them and I ranked them again.
Sure.
So I double ranked them. First I said, okay, these are the ones I feel that we could give an interview to. Now, in the order, this is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And I did that for the purpose of, in case there are some differences, we can come to potentially a compromise and, okay, let's go with this one, not that one, or whatever. So, and then maybe that's where you can help us with some of that as well. So, Michael, do you want to start? You want me to start?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, before
Yes.
we begin, candidate number 12.
Yes. Thank
I was,
you.
I was able to connect with him.
Okay,
And I was able to connect with him on Friday.
okay.
So the packet went out at noon. I
Yep.
was able to connect up with him at 1:30. So I was like, So I am recommending that he is also a tier 1 candidate.
Okay.
It was just some scheduling issues,
Yep.
and so he would be a
Okay.
tier 1 candidate. as well.
Sounds good. Thank you for that clarification. And I did see that in your email correspondence, but I appreciate you bringing it out in the meeting. So, well, I'll go ahead and start. I'll just put mine out there and then we can go from there. You guys comfortable with that? Okay. So basically, here's how I have them. I came up with, so I'm not stuck on this, but I actually had 6. I had 4 that I thought were strong and 2 that could be potentials. So for me, the number 1 in mine was candidate 2. My number 2 was candidate 3. My number 3 was candidate 12. My number 4 was candidate 1. And then I had candidates 9 and 10 as potentials. Like those 2 could swing either way for me. I'm not stuck in the mud on them. I was looking for other options out there. So that's kind of how I rank mine. So, Michael?
Yeah, I'll kind of go. I didn't rate them as top to bottom like you did, but I had number 2 on that list. I had number 9, number 10, and number 12. I had kind of my in between on number 1 and number 6.
So number 1 and number 6 are alternates, you would say?
Yeah, just yeah, yep.
That's a good way to
Flip a coin, kind of. You know, both had qualities that I liked, but absolutely. I said, what did I say? I said 2, 9, 10, 12, and then 1 and 6.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, mine were ranked in order of preference, potentially as well. So 3, 2, 1, 3 being 1,
3 being 1.
3 being 1.
2,
Okay.
1, 10, 12, 6.
3, okay.
3, 2, 1, 10, 12, 6.
10, 12, okay. 10,
10, 12, 6. Okay.
10,
12,
6.
and 6. All right. I will go ahead and, all of you have them in front of you, but for the record, I have Councilmember Jensen's and I have Councilmember Scott's. And Councilmember Jensen had 3 selections. He had candidate 2, 3, and 12. And Councilmember Scott had candidate 2, 4, and 6. So as we look through them, if I just look at all the rankings, I see 2 obvious ones that are standing out to me. That would be candidate 2 and candidate 12.
Yeah.
Candidate 2, all selected candidate 2. Candidate 12, all but one council member selected 12. So 2 and 12, to me, are obvious. And then we get into the, where they start to, we get some variations. I think if we go just in order, we would go, let's see, candidate 1, candidate 3, and candidate 10 then are next with at least 3 selections. And then actually candidate 6 as well has 3. So, and some of us ranked and some of us did, so.
Well, Mr. Mayor, how about I just do this then? I'll go down the list of candidate 1 to share with you so the ones that are so we'll, as a discussion point, for number 1 would be a discussion point, number 3 would be a discussion point.
Yep.
Looks like number 6
Yes,
is a discussion point, and then number 10 would
Yes.
be a discussion point.
Yes.
Because they all have 3 or 3.
yes.
Okay, so candidate number 1, so right down the list. And so what I would like to do is just kind of walk through the pros, well, not the qualities that each of these had.
Yes.
So, all right, so number 1, his background is community development. This particular candidate is a candidate that is not in transition. This candidate is not actively looking for employment, but he does have a great amount of experience in regards to community development as well as public financing and community development and public financing. That's where the strengths were there. The next thing I can say is the background in supervision right now. He currently has 1 supervision, but his weaknesses, does not have audit prep, does not have software. Very strong planning and zoning, very strong comp planning and project management. Finance, limited, but he does have that experience as the EDFP and economic development type background. And elections, that would be an area of growth. That would be an area of growth for him. All right, so candidate number 3.
Can I ask a question on candidate 1?
Sure.
And tell me if I can't ask this, because I don't know what cannot. Are any of the jobs, the roles that they had at the same employer? Don't need to know who, but are they same employer? Like, is it potential promotions?
Sure.
Or is it?
Let me look at that one. So in the packet, we have these short little mini bios. And we do that intentionally to create a quick little snapshot. Because sometimes people's resumes are 5, 6 pages long. So in this situation, let me just scroll down to here. Okay. So the positions for this individual, number 1, yeah, those were the same jobs that he had the entire time. So 2004 to 2007, Executive Director of the Economic Development Authority. 27 to 10, Economic Development Authority, EDA. Community Development Director, 13 to 16. And again, Executive Director again for those 3 years. And then Community Development, let's see here. Oh, they're the same community. Okay, that's the question. Okay.
Yeah.
No, these are different communities.
Okay, that's the end of the question. I just
Yeah,
wanted.
those are all different
Just curious. Not that it sways one way or the other. It's just one of the thought process that I was interested in.
Yep. Thank you. We usually put. Okay.
Bless you.
All right. So candidate number 3. Candidate number 3, very experienced individual in regards to city government. Used to be a auditor, converted over to be a CPA during that experience. Has the MCMA credentials, has been part of some boards and commissions as well. This person is not in transition. The person is directly supervising 13 individuals, 9 individuals, direct experience, 13 years direct experience. As an administrator, staff supervision as well, has prepared audits, gone through software conversions, planning and zoning, led opportunities there, comp plan. Yes is basically across the board. There were no negative references that we came across, nor any social media or background issues that we came across as well. So that was number 3. Number 6, excuse me. Number 6, okay. Number 6 was a candidate, again, he's currently performing the job now. Background, military, he's not in transition. The issue with him is he technically doesn't meet the minimum qualifications because he does not have a college degree. But his military background, as working in the U.S. embassies, as a Marine, represented very, very well professionally. The constraints with him, limited-wise, he's been in the role for 9 months. So this is his first opportunity, and coming into a newer, larger community, there may be some opportunity there for growth. He has limited audit experience, limited software, limited P&Z, limited comp, limited across the board. His interview style was, with myself being a former military, was very direct, very direct in regards to responses. So that might be something to consider if you're looking for that type of representation. Very strong, authoritative presentation. All right, number 10 that I have here on the list. This individual is an experienced administrator, multiple administrator opportunities over his career. He's currently in transition right now, but he was an interim city administrator. He has experiences across the board with everything. There is one constraint with him. His tenure at each of these cities have been about 2 years. And that was a concern that I heard raised during the stakeholder sessions of you're looking for somebody to be there. And when you look at his tenure, there's a lot of opportunity there where he was every 2 years. So, but again, what he says, his argument, I said, well, explain that to me. Why were you there for 2 years? I mean, they'd like to see you there for 3 to 5 years if you can. He said, well, I'm a change agent. You know, I come in, I fix things, I get things up and running, and then I move on to the next one. I said, okay, I can respect that.
I picked that up when I read through that. You could tell by some of the things he said he did within that time frames. He was doing a lot of changing, bringing things up to date, moving things around.
And that concludes that list. And so, Mr. Mayor, I would recommend for the way forward, the way that you can do this, there's several different ways, is you would try to, it depends on how you're going to do the interview process, really, is if you want 3 people to interview or 5 people to interview, you know, whatever that number might be. If the full council participates in the first round interview, all these names become public because that's just the way it is. It's public. And it becomes very difficult. So we try to share, when that gets to that level, we would recommend that you narrow it down to 3. And the reason is it's easier to explain to your boss and to your councils that I'm one of 3 versus one of 5. And so that's just something to be aware of. But you can do however that would be my recommendation. The other thing too is what we do is we will, say if you pick 5 tonight, and what you can do is the first 3 are, there, but then you have 2 alternates. Because what we like to do is tomorrow, I'm going to call all of these candidates and give them the news, let them know and say, would you like to move forward? The answer would be yes, absolutely, or I need to think about it tonight and I want to get back to you. So we usually wait until Friday to release the names. Give them an opportunity to talk to their spouses, talk to their respective mayors or council members to let them know before it hits the newspaper. So.
So we have a couple things to discuss, council, as to how we want to proceed with this. You heard the
Fine going with
recommendation.
3 and just reserving 2 in case we need to pull somebody else in.
I'm trying to remember what we did last time. Can you help me? Did we do just 3? Did we?
I don't think we interviewed that many.
I didn't think so either. Did we have just,
I believe there were 4 people
okay,
the last time.
Okay.
And I believe there was only one interview. There was an interview with staff, and then there was an interview with the whole council.
with the
There
council.
was only one.
Thank you. Yeah, we did 1 round of interviews. 4 people made our choice off of that. Okay. Well, 3 or 4.
There were 4 on the list, but I think only 3.
Maybe one backed
Yeah,
out.
maybe 1 pulled out, yeah.
One might have pulled out at the end, but there were 4 that were asked to be interviewed. Okay, no, that's fine. So, what do you think of that, Michael? You comfortable with that concept?
I am.
Going with like 3 and then have 2 backups and do a 1-round interview and have them interview not only with the council, but I think the idea of interviewing with staff's absolutely
Yep.
paramount.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I think that's very important because my view is, and I don't want to speak for the council, I'm speaking for myself individually, but I think it's important that they interview with the staff as well because that person is going to be directly working with the staff at all times. And I want the staff to have their ability to get a feel for what it's like, I thought that was valuable for us last time too.
Yep.
So I would want that again.
Yeah, they had some, I know you had some strong opinions, like one way or the other last time, I think. So, yeah.
Which is, that's okay.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
good to
good.
have for us
Good.
because it helps
You have to
us
work
think
with them,
about it.
so-
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's important for us as council because we won't work with that person every day, but the staff will.
Yeah.
So I think that's paramount.
And Mr. Mayor and council members, one of the options that we do for that, and that is very, very common, that you'll see that the department heads, staff have a meet and greet or a actual interview. What I caution when we do that though, is that when the staff does that, it's their role to find, what they feel are strengths and what they feel are weaknesses.
Yes.
What we want to avoid is staff saying, recommending 1, 2, and 3 in that order. Because the council may look at, oh, I like 3, 2, 1, and then it becomes an issue that way. So what we do with that is we provide a template, a little standard interview questions, but the staff would then just basically write the pros and cons of what they see, and then they present that to you. These are the strengths that we saw as staff, and these are the areas that we found as that, and then you get to pick the boss.
Yep.
They don't get to pick the boss.
Right. No,
So,
no, that makes perfect sense in my mind.
okay.
So I think it allows them to give input to us, but then at the end of the day, we're the ones that are making the final decision. So, okay, are you guys feeling good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, then, basically, we know 2 of the 3 for sure, right?
2 and 12.
2 and 12.
Well,
So basically, we're looking at which one we want to go with for number 3 and then looking at our 2 backups. So, I mean,
I like number 1.
Okay.
After hearing just some recap, I know some weaknesses were addressed, but I think we have some strengths already here and present with staff. So I think it would be a good connection potentially. So I didn't see that as too much of a weakness because I know we have some strong staff members that can pick up some of those items. So I kind of leaned on 1 after hearing the 4 candidates that we heard about of being that alternate.
I want to check on something on number 1 because there was a question that got asked that I
Oh, sure.
had some concerns on. So if we go to 1
Okay,
and his set of questions that he answered at the end, and I'm letting the council know this,
let's,
to 13. So I thought that was interesting. If you look at question number 13. Now, there's a lot of different reasons for that, but it gave me pause. When I did my initial look, and I went through all the applications and I looked them over, that was one of the questions we go through there. So I'm not saying that's a deal breaker. I'm just saying it gave me pause. When I looked at that and went, geez, okay,
Just to clarify for candidate number 1,
yeah. Yep, for 1. Yep.
Yeah, and they didn't provide an explanation, which most of them did. So
Yeah.
that's another
Yep.
kind of red flag a little bit, I think. I still like 3 more than 1. I like 1 and 3, but I like 3 more,
Yeah.
mostly because I feel like the council is not in a place where they want to do community development, or at least the majority of the council is not. And so having someone whose primary focus right now is that, I feel may conflict with sort of the goals of the city
Yep.
right now. But obviously, they're both experienced enough for the position, so I like them both, and I had them ranked in my top 3, both of them, but 3 is still my preference to 1.
Yeah, and I would say, when I looked at mine, I ranked 3 number 2 on my list. So I had candidate number 2 is 1, candidate number 3 is 2.
oh,
So I had a tendency to lean more towards 3 as well. Part of it that got me was that there's a lot of experience in city government there with regards to having that experience, having been there, done it, been a part of that process, had experience in all different levels, everything from audit to finance to you name it, they'd had experience in it. And that, I guess I looked at that. So, and there were when I went through the other questions, there were no negatives there. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. So they were both on my list, but I had them ranked and not, but 3 was my stronger candidate in that regard. So if I had to choose between 1 and 3 as the third one, I'd say 3. Councilmember Jensen, while he didn't rank, he did have 3 selected as well. So, I don't know. And I know, Michael, you didn't have them selected at all, so.
yeah, nope, they're kind of in my middle category. So
Yeah, right.
I'm okay with this. After looking at the other candidates of where I felt that things were, that would be the next in line for myself,
Okay.
reviewing everybody else.
Yep. And maybe what it is we look at candidate 2, 3, and 12 as the 3, and then an alternate is 1. And I don't know, what would be,
I would say probably after the kind of summary to maybe 10 would be my next one, because although I don't like the short tenure,
Right.
kind of that's sort of the nature of some individuals now where they just don't stay a long time at positions. So, and I think 6 with the limited experience, I would put them after 10. But yeah, I would agree, like 1 would be the alternative.
1 and 10 is
For
alternates.
sure, yeah.
okay.
If one of those top 3 didn't want to interview, then we would go with 1, I would think, first.
is that what I'm hearing? Is that if
Yeah,
one of the 1, 2, and 3, then it would be 1 and 10 in that order?
correct.
Okay.
Mike,
Alternate 1.
are we correct on that?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're leaning towards based on the information that's been given and what we've
Okay.
talked about.
Okay. All right. So through consensus then, just to confirm, 2, 3, and 12. Alternate number 1 is 1. Alternate number 2 is 10.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
So what I'll do then is tomorrow, I will call them first thing in the morning and offer it to the first 3 and get confirmation. And then I will reach out to Jerry, let him know for sure if it's those three, and then otherwise I'll just go down the list from there. And then after we get confirmation, I'll then contact the other candidates to let them know, thank you for your application and the process, and go from there. So,
Thanks. I think it went smoothly, so thank you. Yeah, you did a good job.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is a good process. This is
Yep.
this is the easy part. Now the hard part is coming up. So, if we could discuss trying to figure out the hardest part of all, right, Deb, is the date. And since it's the way I understood it this evening is that you're just going to do one set of interviews.
Yes.
Which would all be in person then.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And
Am
all
I
of these
correct on
people
that? I
are-
don't want to speak for the council, but I think that's what
I
we.
think at this point, yeah, we can
Yeah.
just move to in
that-
person. and-
Yes.
In
They're all
person?
Minnesota,
Yep.
so
Nope.
it's
Perfect.
okay.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's nice. We haven't had that in the past sometimes.
No,
so-
we had to travel.
Yeah.
Okay. So a date.
A date. Well, let me look at calendar here.
Interviews are generally an hour.
Yep.
And since we'll be involving staff, what you could do is you could maybe have the staff portion of that during the daylight hours, so you don't have people come in the evening, and then the face-to-face with the council in the evening, if that's appropriate.
We did it during the day last time.
Yeah,
We did, we just took
Daytime.
the whole day,
yep.
but that's
Rotate
going to
them.
be a challenge for one of
Oh,
our council
okay.
members, I
Yeah.
think.
I think if we plan it far enough, like how far in advance are we looking? I know Mr. Jensen's out on,
Yeah, he's not gone till March.
He's been coming back at the 1st of March.
okay.
Is he going to
So
be
that
here
should
for the
give-
next council meeting?
That's probably how much time you'd maybe want anyways, just to set up interview time.
So he does plan to be back for our council meeting on the 3rd.
Yes.
So then he'll be back by that time. So then if we start looking past that,
Sometime the week of
what
the
about,
3rd.
what about a date on the week of the 10th? So that would be the week following the council meeting. Council's on the 3rd. Week of the 10th, that's the 10th through the 14th.
I just can't do Friday that week. I'll be out of town, but otherwise.
Yeah, probably, okay, so the $1 million.
Otherwise, I don't know that I have much on my calendar yet for that week.
Right, well, yeah, we're getting out far enough ahead of it. I'm sure Councilmember Jensen will be able to fit it in. Michael, where are you at with your schedule?
Would try to prefer to avoid Tuesday, but otherwise open.
Well,
If
if I
Tuesday
had
was
my druthers, I'd stick it right in the middle of the week, Wednesday, the 12th. Don't know how that works, though, for our other two council members.
Well, do we
Do
want,
we want to do an alternative?
well, I was just gonna say, do we want to reach out and say, and ask what day works during the business day?
We just propose the 12th and see what we get back.
We still have time to change it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're far enough out. So
Yeah,
if we
let's
set it
try the
now for the,
12th.
we set it for the 12th and then reach out to the council members that aren't here and say, hey, this is the date we're looking at. Can you look at your calendars? Is the 12th going to work? Get a yes or no, and if we have to, then we can change it to what, with a date that works for them
And
in that week.
And Mr. Mayor, what I would recommend too is that you have one alternate day too, just in
Yep.
case. Somebody might be on vacation.
Yep.
And on a cruise
That's what
or
I was
something.
thinking about as an alternate.
Or do we want to look at the following week, Wednesday?
So the 12th or the 19th, had the alternate as the 19th. Does that work for you if you look ahead in your calendar, Rebecca?
The 19th?
Yeah, as an alternate, just in
Yeah, it
case.
should. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So 12th primary and 19th is backup.
Yep.
Starting time is,
Interviews generally are, face-to-face interviews are generally an hour. You would schedule an hour. Then maybe a tour of the community in there, and then a staff meeting, interview as well. And there's also alternatives too that you could have there's all different types of scenarios that you could have, just a social coffee with people if you want to involve people as well. But Mr. Mayor, you and I spoke about that a little bit before. So if we were to just do a 1 hour interview with the full council, you could also break it up to one-on-ones as well. Have individuals have a 15 or 20-minute session with each one of the candidates if you like, and then get together as a group. You could do that. You'll see that generally done in the large metro cities, but
This is just me speaking as one council member. I would prefer to see us do, as a joint council, 1-hour interviews. So each one of us, all of us together, interview the candidates as they come in, set the times for them. And then if we can work it so that maybe there's a situation where after we've interviewed them, they get together with the staff. So that's their secondary. Or we could do that as they get with staff first and then come to us and meet with us.
Yeah.
And then have the kind of, and then run it through the day like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think,
Yeah,
Michael?
so that like they're all kind of done maybe within that 3-hour time span or something. You could kind of do, 1 hour interview, 1 hour tour, 1 hour staff or something. Maybe-
Right, so you
maybe
do
with
an
a
hour
break, but-
interview with us, and then maybe they have an interview with them while we potentially could be interviewing our second candidate, which then would be working, so just
Yeah.
kind of work them through that way. They're here. So then, and then maybe at the end of it, there's an opportunity for them to get a look at the community, or they go take a tour of the community, maybe with one of the staff or something like that, or they get a chance to look at that. That way we kind of keep it going. We can roll it through.
Yeah.
Spread it out that way and maybe start them at like, I don't know, so here's the challenge. If we start in the morning, we probably can't get it all done before noon. So if you start mid-morning and break for lunch and then come back in the afternoon and finish it up that way, I know that's what we did the last time. I remember that.
I know there was a lunch in there.
There
yeah.
was. We broke it. I think we had one interview or two interviews, then we broke for lunch, then we came back and I think we had one more.
Or they're all from Minnesota. So you could maybe start at 9 even and just get.
Well, that's what I'm
9,
wondering.
10, 11 and be
Yep.
done.
We could, if it's going to be an hour. Granted, know that sometimes they'll run over.
Yeah.
Even though we count an hour,
Right.
doesn't mean it's going to be done in an hour. So, especially if we have advanced questions or more questions to give. So,
I think that's
Go ahead, Michael.
I think that's a great game plan. I'd probably just yield to Jerry and Mike working out the fine details about exactly what it is. But I think we're on the same page. A little tour with somebody,
Yep.
coffee or meet the staff, and staff can provide feedback, and then interview time with the council. I think starting early morning, would be great. If we could have wrap up. I liked that lunch hour that we as council had just to collectively think about what we heard and, just take that moment of break and
Pause.
consider everything that we just heard. And then we come back for deliberations and discussion. If memory serves me correct, I think it was up to the personnel committee to negotiate the contract. Whether or not, Mr. Mayor, you want to be part of that and select another member of the council, I think that'd be appropriate too.
I think this time too, we need to have the city attorney look
Yep.
at anything.
yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that'll be something that we'll have to determine once we come to that. Who is going to be that offer, and then we'll have to break into what. So.
And that's a service too that we can help provide as well. It's just part of their contract. I can help negotiate that on your behalf too. You just got to give me your left and right limits, and then I'll do the best I can to represent the city.
Yep.
Did you want to make comment? You look like you were ready to, so.
if you look at, say, doing interviews for the candidates with the council at 10, 11, and noon, that makes you done at
1.
1 o'clock.
Well, we wouldn't be done at 1 though, because then we'd have to do deliberations, so then we wouldn't be done till like even later. So that's why I feel like starting earlier would be better, because
Let's assume you start at 9, 10,
Oh, 11. You're done at
done
12.
at 12. Staff can get together with the first candidate at 8,
Okay,
second candidate at 9,
perfect,
and the third candidate at 10.
perfect.
Yeah.
Then they're done.
Perfect.
They're here for 2 hours.
Yep.
And they'll be done.
Yep.
I don't think any of these people are going to need a tour.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
okay.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Well, that.
we don't know that, see?
I understand that, and I maybe have more information than you do.
Clearly Clearly you do.
Yeah, yeah.
That said, I think based on who you've chosen, I think that necessity to show the town or anything like that is
Okay.
negated.
Relevant, okay.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, anybody that's a good candidate is gonna want to know more about the town
Yeah, they are.
before they even get here.
Yep,
Sure.
And they'll do their homework, quite frankly.
they should.
They're good candidates, will. They'll know more about you than you know about them. That said, I think you can get done in a morning.
Yeah. Because then if we did need to take like that lunch hour, like you said, and then come back at 1 to do deliberations,
Well,
we
we're
could.
still gonna be done by 2 at the latest.
Right, that's what I mean, but I just don't want to like push it to like, so it's not done till like 3 or
Gotcha.
4.
No, no.
Just for my own
No,
benefit. But-
understood. No, I'm respectful of that too. So absolutely, I would prefer to see it that way too. So let's do that. So you guys can work those details out, Mike and Jerry, but yeah, I think we're all on board with what you're talking about, Jerry, with your plan, how you lay it out. 9, 10, 11 for the interview of the candidates, have them come in that first one at 8 to meet with the staff, roll them, then they can get back to doing what they need to do and their day, and then we can keep working on ours. Gives us the lunch break to kind of, as Michael says, collect our thoughts and think about things, come back, then we can make deliberations and make a recommendation, and then from there, decide who's gonna get, I personally, this is just me talking, have Mike work with the personnel committee and our city attorney.
Happy to.
That's how I would work it, is to go through that process. We have the city attorney involved, and you can work that. And if you get to a point where like, not comfortable, then we can get other people involved to make that happen.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way I look at it.
And again, the contract is still approved by all.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yes, but you're the one that's bringing us, the council, the final language that's negotiated and is what you're comfortable with to bring back. Yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, the council's going to approve it or disapprove it, so.
You may want to look at the existing contract.
Yeah.
The former contract.
Yep.
You may want to see what you like, what you don't like.
Correct.
Make sure that if there's some red flags in that old contract, so that the committee knows what those red flags are.
Do you have contracts that you've used? So that's what I'm thinking, like maybe we just even completely scrap the one that we had before and try looking at something maybe newer or different, so, since that one.
Even some compare and contrast.
Yeah.
What he has compared to
Yep.
what we used and
Yeah,
and again, you might take things out of there, as Jerry said, to go, okay, I like this, but you might be able to take a couple and make what you want out of it
Right.
then.
And then the city attorney will also have to have some ownership in that.
Yes, absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, so he'll be involved in that process as well throughout that, so, okay. We're feeling comfortable with everything? All right, so just to restate, we're looking at the 12th right now of March to do the interviews, with the backup of the 19th. I would ask that we probably reach out to the 2 council members that aren't present tonight and check right away to see if the 12th is going to fly or not, so that we know. Because there may be an opportunity then, if it doesn't early enough, we may be able to say, hey, can we get a date that same week? We know Friday's out, we know Tuesday's out. So that leaves us either Thursday or Monday as an alternate, which Mondays kind of aren't. So we're to Wednesday or Thursday basically that week if it's going to not work on Wednesday. So that's what I'm kind of thinking there. And then if that doesn't work, we look at the 19th then.
We're also going to provide you with a set of questions.
Oh, yeah.
And go through that list and pick out the ones that you want, or that you want,
Perfect.
strong feelings that you want this asked as part of your interview.
Perfect.
Let us know that.
Okay.
So which ones you prefer, and then we can put the list together for the interview.
So you'll provide us a list then for us to pick the questions out of?
I'll give you an
Excellent.
interview bank.
Perfect, thank you.
The other thing to think about is the interview itself, whether you want to do a round robin with the council asking the questions, and/or if you want ask all the questions in the same manner for all the candidates, and you actually basically sit back there and listen, and you can interject at any time, but I've seen that work pretty well.
Do you have any preference, Rebecca?
I've never done it the other way where somebody else has read the question, so I mean, that's intriguing to me because then I wouldn't have to really prepare to know how to ask them. But
I think I had a word that I got stumbled on every time I read the darn word.
Well, sometimes it loses a step in the process, and it holds it up a little bit.
yeah. So, I mean, that might be nice just to have a neutral person asking the questions, I guess, each time so that it's not asked in a different way or,
Yeah, there's a consistency to that.
right? I can see the benefit of that.
Yeah. Well, and they know who the question's coming from every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The candidate then
They
knows.
don't have to get nervous about trying to figure out
Correct.
who's asking
Right.
it.
Well, and then you sit in the room and you read body language, and everybody does that. And so now you have a candidate sitting there reading a council member's body language and going, oh, uh-oh, next question's coming from them, you know? So, I mean, from that perspective, there's a neutral party involved, and they're just asking the questions for them to answer.
And there's also a strategy recently that I've seen where they'll actually put the interview questions in front of the person, giving them an opportunity to, there's a couple different ways to do this, but I've seen one situation where you give the candidate 15 minutes to prepare for the interview. You give them 3 standard questions, have them fill out those questions so they're ready to answer those questions to you, and they give you a little short presentation. And then after they do that, they give them 15 minutes to basically cram, and then they get 15 minutes to present to you. And then after that, then you go into your bank of interview questions that you have as well. So there's a way for them to, kind of put them on the spot a little bit, see how they present, to the council, how they can present in a forum. Because some people may not do as well at a straight up interview question, but maybe they do better when they have a 15-minute prep time. There's lots of different unique ways to do that and how to present.
I'd be open to seeing that maybe.
I don't know. I've never seen that either. So
It's just a different train. It's just a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
process.
I guess I don't know that if I care if somebody can really cram and present to me, I guess, but usually I can tell based on how they're answering questions if they
Yeah,
are a good
that's a good
candidate or
point.
not, but
And these candidates that will be presenting to you, they have proven themselves as presenters in the past.
Okay.
In their previous line. So,
My personal opinion is I think we just set with a set of questions. I like the idea of maybe using Mike as the orator for our questions.
sure.
To be there and orate those questions for us, and that allows us, what I like about that is that allows us to focus on the candidate.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're not focusing on the question we're asking. So the questions come from them, and I'm paying attention to the candidate. How are they acting? How are they responding? What's their first thing out of the gate? Is it instant? Is it hesitant? I look at all those different things when I interview, so that gives us that ability to do that.
and we're not thinking about like the question we have to read next.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
my
Like,
turn?
oh,
Is it my When
they're trying to
is it my
answer?
turn? Is
Yeah.
it going to be me that's got to read the question next? Oh, wait a minute, am I third or fourth in line? Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think going with the route of a set of interview questions that we pick from a bank that's provided to us. You will be the orator for us, asking the questions, and we'll be, and then if we have follow-up, we can do that. So they answer the question and we have a follow-up, then we can do that. So,
Absolutely.
okay. Feeling good about that to this
I am.
point? Okay. All right. So anything else that we need to cover, Mike?
Just for the staff interview with them, I would do the same thing for that. We would give them an interview bank of questions. Maybe we can ask somebody like Deb or Jerry to sit in during that because we want to hear what their feedback is from what the staff is. So we'll have to figure out some time in there where a representative can come in and give you a presentation of what they're felt as their strengths and weaknesses, or just get their notes and present it that way.
Do that right at the end.
Yeah, after lunch, when we come back.
Okay.
That'd probably be the first thing I'd have is have whoever that staff person is come in, present to us. Now we have that information to go along with our own information, and then we can deliberate.
Yep.
So I think that's the best way to do it. And that gives staff time to be ready for that too, so, okay. Anything else from the council?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
I have a motion from Councilmember Maroney. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Ball. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.